He had it all: fame, fortune, and a global empire. But the more successful he became, the more the world wanted to tear him down. Branded a monster, his reputation was destroyed overnight. But was it all just coincidence? Or was Michael Jackson deliberately taken down? This is the story they don't want you to hear. Michael Jackson wasn't just a musician, he was a force of nature. A child prodigy, a visionary, a performer unlike any before him. But behind the moonwalk and the sequined glove was a man burdened by pain, loneliness, and an industry that saw him as a product, not a person. Born on August 29, 1958, in Gary, Indiana, Michael's childhood was stripped away. His father, Joe Jackson, ruled with an iron fist, demanding perfection. There were no toys, no carefree moments, just rehearsals, discipline, and pressure. At 8, he led the Jackson 5, his voice electrifying the world. Hits like ABC and I Want You Back made them Motown's golden group. But behind the fame, Michael was isolated, forced to perform, and robbed of a normal childhood. As he grew, so did his hunger for artistic freedom. In 1979, Off the Wall proved he was more than a child star. Then, in 1982, the world stopped because Thriller wasn't just an album, it was a revolution. With over 70 million copies sold, it became the best-selling album of all time, transforming music forever. Songs like Billie Jean, Beat It, and Thriller weren't just hits, they were history in the making. The moonwalk became the most iconic dance move ever. Music videos evolved into cinematic experiences. Michael had achieved the impossible. He wasn't just a singer, he was a living legend. But legends come at a cost. The bigger he became, the more the world wanted to own him. The more he created, the more the industry sought to control him. He had reached the top, but in an industry that thrives on power, what happens when a man refuses to be controlled? The world that once worshipped him was about to turn on him. Michael Jackson wasn't just a performer, he was a visionary, thinker, a businessman. But the industry didn't want visionaries, it wanted puppets. By the late 1990s, Michael began speaking out against record labels, corporate greed, and the exploitation of artists, especially black musicians. They want to control us, they rewrite history. This isn't just about me, it's about all artists. Despite his global success, Michael realized a harsh truth: he didn't fully own his music. Sony Music controlled his catalog, and he refused to stay silent. Then, he did the unthinkable. He publicly took on Tommy Mottola, the powerful chairman of Sony Music.
Tommy Mottola. He is a mean, he's a racist, and he's very, very, very devilish,
Michael declared. But when you challenge the system fights back. Suddenly, his image was under attack. They called him crazy. They labeled him out of control. They tore apart his past, looking for anything to use against him. Then came the allegations. 1993, the world froze.
The pop star is under a sex abuse investigation.
The pop star is accused of abusing a 13-year-old boy.
Michael Jackson accused of child molestation. The media turned into a circus. His Neverland Ranch was raided. He was humiliated, interrogated, and crucified in the public eye. Then, he made a choice. He settled for $23 million. To some, it was an admission of guilt. To others, it was the only way to end the madness. But one thing was certain: Michael Jackson was never the same again. His innocence didn't matter. This was never about truth, it was about destruction. And just when he thought it was over, it happened again. 2005. Another boy, another case, another trial. This time, Michael Jackson walked into court, frail, exhausted, and broken. His past, his career, his entire existence was on trial. For 4 grueling months, the world watched. Then came the verdict. Michael Jackson, not guilty. He was free, but the damage was done. Michael was a man the world no longer believed in. The stress, the humiliation, the betrayal, it crushed him. His debt was drowning him. His body depended on painkillers just to function. But there was still one last chance at redemption. This is it, the final comeback. Michael pushed himself to the limit, rehearsing for a series of concerts that would prove, once and for all, he was still the greatest. This was supposed to be his masterpiece, his return, his moment. Instead, it would be his final curtain call. Behind the rehearsals, behind the promises of a spectacular comeback, Michael Jackson was fighting a silent battle. Years of stress, scrutiny, and addiction had taken their toll. His insomnia was relentless, his body exhausted, his mind restless. I just want my children, my fans, and every artist to have the rights they deserve. His sudden death at 50 sent shockwaves through the world. But for those who understood his battle, one question still lingers. Was his downfall orchestrated? To this day, many believe Michael didn't just fall, he was taken down. But no matter what you believe, one thing is certain. Michael Jackson was more than an artist. He was a fighter, a truth seeker, a man who wanted justice for every artist after him. Michael didn't just change music, he changed the conversation. He fought for artist ownership before it became a global issue. He exposed the music industry's corruption long before record contracts were scrutinized. He used his platform to uplift others, even when it cost him everything. And perhaps his biggest truths weren't just in his words, they were in his art. Was he exposing something bigger? Some claimed he was a pawn of the Illuminati, a secretive elite group said to control the entertainment world. Others believed he was fighting back against them, a rebellious artist who knew too much and was silenced for it. His lyrics became darker, hinting at deception, control, and hidden forces manipulating artists. His public speeches grew bolder, calling out record labels, executives, and the industries that profited from artists' suffering. His album artwork and music videos filled with cryptic symbolism led some to believe he was sending messages, warning the world. Whether these were just theories or held deeper truths, one thing was undeniable. Michael felt threatened. "They are trying to murder me. I am scared about my life." These chilling words were found in handwritten notes, later revealed by his close friend Michael Jacobshagen. Michael believed evil people wanted to destroy him not just to tarnish his image, but to take away his most valuable asset, his music catalog. He feared powerful figures in the industry were watching him. He believed his life was at risk for speaking out. He knew that owning his masters gave him control, and control made him a target. And then, just months later, Michael Jackson was gone. His passing remains one of the most debated celebrity deaths in history. Was it an accident? A consequence of poor medical care? Or something far more sinister? We may never know the full truth. But what we do know is that Michael Jackson saw something behind the curtain of the entertainment industry, and he wasn't afraid to talk about it. Michael Jackson wasn't just an artist, he was a force of nature, a visionary who revolutionized music, dance, and entertainment. His influence was unmatched, his talent undeniable. But behind the success, fame, and groundbreaking achievements was a man fighting battles the world would never fully understand. News of his death sent shockwaves across the globe. Fans gathered by the millions, mourning in the streets, singing his songs, lighting candles in his honor. Tributes poured in from artists, dignitaries, and world leaders. A light had gone out in music, leaving behind a void that could never be filled. But Michael's story wasn't just one of tragedy, it was one of greatness. Michael redefined music. Thriller became the best-selling album of all time. He turned music videos into cinematic events, making Billie Jean, Beat It, and Smooth Criminal legendary. His dance moves, the moonwalk, the anti-gravity lean, the toe stand remain untouchable. And his heart, it was just as big as his talent. He gave to charities, built hospitals, and spread messages of healing through his songs. We are the world, heal the world, man in the mirror. These weren't just lyrics, they were calls to action. His influence still echoes today in the artists who emulate his style, in the dancers who study his moves, in the fans who keep his legacy alive. Michael Jackson isn't just the king of pop. He's the greatest entertainer the world has ever seen. And legends like him, they never die. They live forever in the music, the memories, and the magic they leave behind.